Well, welcome everyone. Today we are going over creating Bible timelines using Word. I decided on Word because everybody has Word for the most part. If you're here at DTS, you probably have Microsoft Word. So this is going to be assuming that you don't know how to use Word at all. This is your basic level, so I'm going to walk you through all the steps you need. And this is kind of the quick and dirty option. I'm not going into a ton of, sophisticated methods. It's very basic, but this will work for any timeline that you need to create for any of your Bible exposition classes or any other classes. So let's go ahead and jump right in and get started today. I would like for you to open up Microsoft Word, which should be right here on your desktop at the bottom. And once you open up Microsoft Word, you'll get this option, and it's saying what template do you want to choose. So if you'll go ahead and choose blank document here on the top left, just double click that, and that will bring up Microsoft Word. All right, everyone with me so far?
Obviously not clicking something.
All right, you can. Yep, on the blank document, just double click it real fast there, and that should bring it up. All right, and then now that we're in Word, for a timeline, we want to change the perspective. So we don't really want it to be oriented like this. We want to flip it sideways. So to do that, go to the Layout tab right here. That's the third tab on the top. And under the Orientation, which is right here, go ahead and click that. And let's change it to landscape. So again, that was the Layout tab, and then Orientation. And then we're just changing this right here to landscape. All right, so this is where we're at so far. Everything looks good. Now we've got our basic orientation. Now we need to enter the baseline of our timeline, all right? So to do that, go ahead and click the Insert button here. And this is going to allow us to insert our first shape. The shape we're looking for is right here. Under Shapes, we want to choose this option right here under the lines. It's the one on the far left. All right? Go ahead and click that. If you correctly clicked, it's going to give you these crosshairs that we have. So what we're going to do now is just create our baseline. So click on the left side, and then just drag these crosshairs all the way over. All right? And you click and drag, and that creates a line all the way across. Okay? Now, this line is a little too thin. We need it to be a little bit bigger. All right? So we'll need to be able to change the weight, is what they call it, of this line. So go ahead and hover over the line to where your mouse turns into these crosshairs. You see what I have there? Click on that line. And that's going to give you this shape format option here. It's going to just pull it up automatically. When you click on the line, it gives you shape format. Okay? You'll see this little pencil here. And if you're having trouble finding it, it's right here. This little pencil. Go ahead and click on that. And go down to the weight options. And then let's change this to maybe a 3-point weight. All right? So once you've done that, you'll have a line that's a pretty substantial weight there, and you can kind of see it, all right? But if you also notice, my line is a little sideways because I drew it by hand. If you go up here in the top left, this is the degree of your line here. I'm going to make mine 0, so it's not slanted in one direction. So I'm just going to pull that down to 0. And if that's at 0, that means your line is straight, okay? So now we've got our baseline for our timeline, all right? Now we need to move on to the next step, which is to create each individual point on our timeline. All right? And those points are just going to be vertical lines. So we've already learned how to insert a line, right? So go up to the Insert tab again. Under the Shapes, choose that line, the same one we did before. Insert, shapes, and then line. Now we've got our crosshairs again. Practicing this, just draw a line straight down. All right? And we've got a vertical line. Now, if you can guess, we're going to need to change the weight once again, right? Just like we did before. So under this little pencil, we click on that. Under the weight options, we're going to change that to 3-point. All right? So now we know how to insert a shape. We know how to change its lean, its orientation, its angle. Let me teach you something else that will really help you. And this is a cool thing. If you hold the Option key and you click on any object and you drag it, you're going to copy that object. If you hold the Option key, you click and drag, you will make a copy of whatever you just clicked on. Do you guys see that? You hold the Option key here on your keyboard, you click on an object, and then you drag. And it creates a copy of it. Does everyone have that? Everyone able to do that? So go ahead and make a series of copies all the way across your timeline. So if you've done that correctly, you should have a number of individual events in your timeline, just like I have on my screen. Does everyone see that? All right. Once again, hold the Option key, click and drag. And the fun thing about this is this works for lines, text boxes, images, almost anything in a Word document you can do this with. So we'll use this skill a little later as well. So now what we have is, we have our baseline, we've got our individual events. Now we need a couple dates in here, right? We need a date for our timeline. So once again, we'll go up to this good old Insert tab that we've been up. All right, we've seen that guy before. And then on the Insert tab on the right side, you'll see this text box option here. That's on the right side near the top. You see that? Click on the text box and then click Draw Text Box, okay? Now I'm going to go over to the left side of my timeline because this is where we would put the dates. And I'm just going to draw a little text box here. And then it creates a box. And I'm going to put the date 0, all right? We'll say that's the beginning of time. All right? And then if you click outside of the box, you'll notice it has this little bounding box around the outside. You see this? It doesn't look that great, right? We don't really need this square box. So go ahead and come over to your box, and then once you see these crosshairs, just like we did before, click on it. And that's going to bring up the shape format. We've seen this before, right? Now we're going to go to that good old pencil again, the shape outline. Click on that. And near the top here, you should see no outline. You see that right here? Go ahead and click on that. Again, that's under the pencil, no outline. And then once you click outside of your text box, do you see that it disappeared? So now all you have is the number, okay? Good, crisp number. All right? Good. Now, I need multiple dates on my timeline. So let's use that shortcut we learned a second ago. Hold the Option key, click this box, and drag it. And you'll get a replica of the box you just made. You see that? That work for everybody? Yes, yes, no? All right, so if it didn't work for you, make sure you've got your box clicked on first. Make sure you've got these little crosshairs like I have on my screen. Hold the Option key, click and drag. And then you should be able to correctly make a series of dates. All right, so let's just make 3 dates. Let's make 0, and then in the middle, let's just say, we'll do even 50. And then on the right side, let's just say 100. Now, when you come to make the 100, you'll notice the box does not resize automatically. So if your numbers are hanging out the side like that, just know you're going to have to resize the box by hand, okay? So if it looks something like this and your numbers are stacking up, just go over to your box in the bottom right, click and drag to resize your box, just like this. All right? Everyone with me? Seeing nods, so everything looks good. All right, so if everything has gone correctly so far, our timeline should look pretty good. All right? But now we need to label each of these individual poles, right? Because these events need to be tied to something. So let's just start at 0, and let's put Adam there at 0, okay? In order to do that, what we're going to need to do is go over to our little text box. I'm going to full screen here just so it's a little bigger. Go over to our text box here, and then let's copy it again. Hold the Option key, click, and drag. You see that? We create a copy, and then let's just label this instead of 0. Let's call this Adam. All right? Now, one thing that I haven't shown you how to do so far, we need to flip this text box. So in order to do that, you will click this little circular button up top, this one right here. My mouse is so huge it's hard to see it. That little circle button, click and drag. And that allows you to move this in a circle. All right? So you click once your mouse turns into this circle, and you can swing it around in a circle. All right? Then we're just going to place it over here by our first event. Now, the only thing that looks a little weird here, if you look at my screen, Adam is actually sitting over top of my vertical line here, right? So basically what's happening is he's interrupting this, this individual event. I don't want him to do that. I actually want him to sit behind. So if you imagine this is like two objects, one is sitting right on top of the other one. I don't want him to sit on top. I want him behind. So what I want to do is go to this text box and right-click on it. That's basically clicking on the right side of your mouse. And you'll come up with this menu option. Go down to Wrap Text. So again, that's going to look like this. You're going to right-click on the box, go down to Wrap Text, and then the one you want under Wrap Text is Behind. So you want him to sit behind this, not in front of. And then if you see, Adam is actually sitting behind. So when you click and drag him, he's appearing behind this particular event. See that? Cool. All right, so go ahead and just make a few more events. So copy Adam. Who should come after Adam? I don't know. Everybody. Abel, Cain, Abel. And this is just an example, so it really doesn't matter. Whoever you want. And then just go ahead and add some labels to your individual events. The only other thing I want you to be able to do is if you want to spruce up your timeline a little bit and add images to it. So suppose each individual event, you'd like to add a picture for this person, okay? So let's do this. On your desktop, each of you should have an image. So if you look at your desktop, you each should have an image right here on it. Do you see that? It's on the right side, might be a little higher for you or a little lower. If you can get to that image, click on it and drag it over to your timeline, just like this. You click and drag and then let go on your timeline. Do you see that? And what it did was it threw this image onto the back of your timeline, okay? So this is like a background. But we don't really want it quite this big, so we need to make a few changes. The first thing is, go ahead and right-click on this image. So we get this menu option again. We're going to go back to the good old wrap text that we've seen before and change it to behind the text. The reason I'm doing this is because when you choose behind the text, it will allow you to freely move this image anywhere without messing up the rest of your text, okay? So we right-click on this image, wrap text, behind the text, okay? Once we've done that, we're free to resize this image however we want. So go to the bottom right corner and click and drag, and go ahead and make this much smaller, a little more appropriate to our timeline. Okay? So if you're tracking with me so far, you should have something just like this right here, a little image. Does everyone have that? Yes, yes? Go ahead and put it over top of one of your vertical lines. All right, so you should have something basically like this, okay? So from the beginning to the end, we have now created a timeline. All right, we've got our dates, we've got our people, and we've got a picture. Now, a couple hints for you as you're doing timelines for BE classes. Sometimes you will have a lot of events that you need to put right one beside another, okay? So in order to do that, I don't need to teach you this step by step. I can just kind of conceptually tell you that. If you want to add a ton of events to your timeline, you might want to use the top and the bottom. All right? So if I had Adam and then Cain and then Abel, I could use the bottom and the top in order to fit more people. Another hint is make some of your lines a little shorter, some a little bit longer. And that's going to allow you to input more people, all right? And then finally, you can do what I just did a second ago there. You can put them at a slight bit of a slant, and you could fit multiple people on here, okay? And it's going to get a little more messy as you go along, but you can fit a whole lot more people that way, all right? So those are just different ideas for how you can kind of fit more people into this timeline. So this is how to do timelines. Took us about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Any questions about the process? Pretty straightforward. I gave you some notes there. That's going to walk you through what we did step by step. And so if you completely forget, feel free to take a look at those notes. And the Media Center is always here to help out with any assignments that you have. If you're having trouble thinking through how to approach an assignment or the technology behind the assignment, come down and ask us, and we'd be happy to give you a hand.